Hey, you. Welcome back to Secrets with Maeve, the space for the conversations we usually keep to ourselves. I'm Maeve. Today, we're talking about something I know so many of us struggle with in silence. She won't tell you this, what she really feels when you're gone. Let's get into it. The moment you stop chasing, something strange happens inside her mind. Not anger, not relief, something far more powerful: curiosity. Listen carefully because this is a truth most men never hear until it's too late. When you disappear from a woman's emotional orbit, her mind doesn't just move on like people assume. No, the female mind is built around emotional patterns, presence, and subtle energy shifts. When a man who once gave attention suddenly becomes quiet, unavailable, or simply focused on his own life, it creates a psychological vacuum. And human nature hates a vacuum. At first, she notices the silence. Maybe you used to text first. Maybe you were the one checking in. Maybe you were the one showing consistent interest. Then suddenly, nothing. Not because you're playing games, but because you stopped chasing validation and started chasing your own purpose. That shift is powerful. At first, she might not react outwardly. In fact, she may even seem indifferent, but internally her brain begins running small calculations. Why did he stop? Did he lose interest? Is he talking to someone else? Did I misjudge his feelings? Here's the truth many men don't understand. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional patterns. When a pattern breaks, it creates intrigue. And intrigue is the beginning of attraction. Your absence forces her to feel something she didn't feel. When you were always available, uncertainty. When you were constantly present, the mystery was gone. She knew where you stood. She knew she had access to your attention whenever she wanted, and humans rarely value what feels unlimited. But absence changes value. Suddenly, your energy becomes rare. Your time becomes selective. Your presence becomes something she can no longer predict. And unpredictability triggers curiosity. Now she starts remembering small things about you: conversations, moments, the way you made her laugh, the way you looked at her when she spoke. Memory becomes emotional fuel, but here is the part most men misunderstand. Your absence only creates attraction if it comes from strength, not from resentment. If a man disappears because he is bitter, angry, or trying to punish a woman, that energy feels heavy. Women sense it immediately. But when a man becomes quiet because he is genuinely busy building his life, something different happens. That silence carries confidence. She begins to feel that your world does not revolve around her approval. And paradoxically, that makes her more curious about you, because attraction thrives in emotional space. The less you chase, the more she starts wondering where your attention went. And wondering is the first step toward missing someone. But what happens next inside her mind is even more interesting, because after curiosity comes reflection. Once curiosity begins, something deeper starts happening inside her thoughts. Reflection. When you were always there, her brain didn't need to analyze you. You were predictable, accessible, familiar, but now your absence forces her mind to replay the past. She starts remembering conversations you had weeks ago. Maybe something you said suddenly makes more sense now. Maybe the way you carried yourself felt different from other men, and slowly a quiet comparison begins. She starts measuring you against the men currently in her life. The guy who texts her constantly but seems desperate. The guy who tries too hard to impress her. The guy who agrees with everything she says just to stay in her good graces, and then she remembers you. You weren't trying to perform. You weren't begging for validation. You simply showed up, spoke your mind, and continued living your life. That difference becomes clearer the longer you're gone, because absence has a strange effect on memory. It removes the noise and leaves only the emotional impact. Now her brain begins filling the silence with questions. Was he actually different? Did I overlook something? Why does his absence feel noticeable? And here's something most men never realize. Women often feel attraction in layers. The first layer might be physical, the second layer might be emotional, but the most powerful layer is psychological curiosity. When she can't fully read you, her mind keeps returning to you. This doesn't mean she suddenly falls in love, but your absence plants a mental seed, and seeds grow in silence. Sometimes she'll check your social media without interacting. Sometimes she'll notice when you're active, but not talking to her. Sometimes she'll casually bring up your name in conversation with friends just to hear their opinions, not because she is obsessed, but because humans naturally investigate emotional puzzles, and right now you became one. But here is where many men destroy this entire dynamic. They panic. The moment they feel distance, they rush back with attention, long messages, or emotional explanations. And in doing so, they remove the mystery they accidentally created. The moment you flood her with reassurance again, the psychological tension disappears. That's why the strongest men understand something important. Presence is powerful, but controlled absence is even more powerful because absence forces people to feel your value instead of being told about it. And the longer your absence continues with quiet confidence, the more her curiosity slowly turns into something else, something deeper, something far more emotional. Because curiosity eventually transforms into missing you. Missing someone doesn't happen instantly. It builds quietly. At first, it's just a thought that appears unexpectedly. Maybe she's scrolling through her phone and remembers a joke you once told. Maybe she hears a song that reminds her of a conversation you had. Maybe she notices that no one else brings the same energy you brought. And suddenly your absence feels noticeable, not dramatic, not heartbreaking, just different. But the human brain is fascinating. When something is missing from a familiar pattern, the brain tries to restore balance. That's when she starts wondering what you're doing now. Are you busy with work? Are you meeting new people? Did you move on emotionally? And strangely, that last question triggers something powerful: competition. Even if she never openly admitted strong feelings for you before, the idea that another woman might capture your attention activates a subtle emotional response. It's not jealousy in the dramatic sense, it's more like awareness. She realizes that you were an option she once had access to. And now that access feels uncertain, scarcity increases perceived value. And here's where something interesting happens in female psychology. When a man stops trying to prove himself, his perceived status often rises in her mind. Because high-value men don't chase endlessly. They invest their energy where it's appreciated. Your absence communicates a message without words. My life continues with or without your approval. That quiet confidence is extremely attractive. Now her brain begins creating emotional what-if scenarios. What if I misread him? What if he actually had more depth than I realized? What if I let a good man walk away? These thoughts may not dominate her entire day, but they appear randomly like echoes, and echoes grow louder in silence. But again, this only works when your absence is genuine. If you disappear while secretly waiting for her reaction, your energy becomes anxious, and anxious energy breaks the spell. The most powerful absence comes from a man who truly moves forward with his life, working, building, improving himself, meeting people, experiencing new things, not to make her jealous, but because growth is his natural direction. Ironically, that authentic progress often pulls attention back toward him because confidence is magnetic and women are deeply drawn to men who feel emotionally self-sufficient. The more fulfilled your life becomes without chasing her, the more intriguing you become in her mind. Now, your absence transforms into something else: respect. And respect is the foundation of real attraction. But the most surprising emotional shift she may feel during your absence is the moment she realizes she actually wants to hear from you again. When a woman begins wanting to hear from you again, it doesn't always show immediately. Pride can delay actions, but internally, a quiet shift has already happened. Your absence changed your position in her mind. Before, you might have been the man who was always available, the man whose attention felt guaranteed, the man she assumed would remain in the background of her life. Now that assumption is gone. And when certainty disappears, attention grows. She may start checking if you viewed her stories. She may notice when you post something new. She might even casually send a small message that seems innocent on the surface. Something simple. Hey, how have you been? But that small message often carries deeper curiosity behind it because what she really wants to know is something else. Did you truly move on? Did her absence affect you at all? Or did you continue forward without looking back? This is where many men face a critical moment. The moment she reaches out again, emotions rush back. Old excitement returns, and the temptation to overinvest becomes strong. But the man who truly understands attraction stays grounded. He doesn't punish her. He doesn't chase her. He simply responds as a man whose life remained full without her. Because the most attractive thing you can show a woman is emotional stability, not indifference, not arrogance, just calm confidence. When she senses that your happiness doesn't depend on her presence, something powerful happens. She begins respecting your boundaries, and respect changes everything in dating dynamics. Respect transforms attraction from temporary excitement into something deeper and more stable. Now conversations feel different. There is less pressure, less need to impress, more natural curiosity between both of you. Ironically, the distance that once seemed risky becomes the reason the connection feels more balanced, because now she understands something important about you. Your attention is valuable not because you say it is, but because you proved it by protecting it. And people value what requires effort to access. But here's the deeper truth. Most men eventually realize absence isn't about manipulating emotions. It's about rediscovering your own life outside of someone else's validation. And when a man truly lives that way, he becomes naturally attractive. Not because he is trying to impress anyone, but because independence creates a powerful energy, an energy that many people feel even when you say very little. And that energy changes how women experience your presence. But the final truth about absence is the one most men never expect. The biggest secret about absence isn't what it makes her feel, it's what it teaches you. When you step back from constantly seeking someone's attention, you start noticing something important. Your life becomes clearer. Your time becomes more intentional. Your goals become louder than your insecurities. And the energy you once spent trying to be chosen gets redirected toward building a life worth living. That transformation changes a man. And women sense that shift instantly because attraction is rarely about perfect looks or clever lines. It's about emotional gravity. Men with purpose have gravity. Their presence feels calm, focused, grounded. They don't chase constantly because they are already moving towards something meaningful. And ironically, that forward motion is what often draws people toward them, including the woman who once felt uncertain about you. But by the time she fully realizes your value, something else has already changed. You are no longer the man waiting for approval. You are the man choosing where your energy belongs. That shift in mindset is the real power behind absence. It turns emotional dependency into self-respect. It transforms insecurity into quiet confidence. And suddenly relationships become a choice, not a necessity. Some women will return when they feel your absence. Some will not. But the strongest men understand something deeper. Your value never depended on whether someone stayed. Your value depended on how you lived your life. And when you live with purpose, discipline, and self-respect, the right people naturally gravitate toward you. Not because you begged them to, but because your energy feels rare, and rare things attract attention. So let me ask you something personal. Have you ever stepped back from chasing someone and noticed how their behavior suddenly changed? Did they become curious? Did they reach out again? Or did you discover that your life actually felt stronger without them? Tell me honestly in the comments. Your story might help another man understand something he's struggling with right now. And if this message resonated with you, take 1 second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth today. Sometimes the most powerful move a man can make is simply walking forward with his own.